Welcome back, my turtles, to another art video with Foxvet Crafts. And today's art video is featuring the time lapse of a comic book blank that features Thor. Like a lot of the pieces I have been doing recently, I went ahead and sketched it out using Fire Alpaca digitally, sketch it out to the same dimensions as the front of a comic book cover. And once I get done sketching it out, I will print it out, use my light board, and transfer it to the actual comic. What I really like about mapping these out, I can go through and adjust and tweak things. If something is too big, too small, not the right angle, I can go through and edit it without having to redraw over and over. So that's definitely very convenient. I also really like that I can use different colors and different layers to go through and add on top of the original sketch. So as seen here, I kind of sketched out the skeleton and then used a different color to go through and actually flesh it out with the armor and more details. For Thor, going through and looking at references, it was kind of difficult. There were a lot of different versions, and so it kind of came down to picking one and sticking with it. And so while they're all slightly different, they all have a lot of similarities as well. So I went with this version. Once I was satisfied with the digital sketch, like I said, I printed it off and used one of my liner pins and my light board to transfer it to the comic book itself. Thor is not a comic that I ever read as a kid. Thor was never one of my favorite heroes. I really like the cinematic Thor movies. I think Chris Hemsworth does a good job at playing Thor. I kind of like the big, sweet, very powerful and yet very kind superhero approach. So I think he does a good job with that, but otherwise I'm not really a big Thor fan myself. I am trying out some new markers that I got from my mother-in-law for Christmas. They have a really broad nib to them and a really narrow nib to them, and so the big broad nib really helps to color in those big large areas quickly, and they seem to blend pretty well. So I I was pretty happy with them right here, and so I'm hoping to continue to use them for background pieces. And from there, I'm just going through and coloring and adding multiple layers to give the piece more depth. The Bristol boarding that this comic book blank was made out of really held the ink well. It allowed me to go over it multiple times and kind of pull the shading and the colors and blend them together very easily, and they blended really well, so I definitely liked that. Kudos to this issue for having such smooth paper. With the comic book blanks, it's kind of a hit or miss. You have some that the paper is just plasticky, and some it's too rough, and some the ink doesn't absorb into it, and some it just absorbs and sucks all the ink out of your marker and doesn't want to blend. So it's kind of a lottery when it comes to doing comic book blanks. And it definitely wasn't until I really started getting into art that I realized that paper really does make a big difference when you're using your markers. So keep that in mind for anybody out there that's wanting to get into marker work. Your paper definitely plays a big role in it. My cat decided to come and sit in for a little bit. I apologize for that. And from there, a little bit of finishing touches using a paint pen to go in and add little stars and shines. And then I scanned it in to show a color comparison. There you have it. The final piece in its true color. This piece will be available for sale, so if anyone is interested, you can shoot me an email, foxfootcrafts@gmail.com, or reach out to me via Instagram. Again, I wasn't ever really a big fan of Thor growing up. I do like the Chris Hemsworth version. If you have a particular favorite version of Thor, or if there's a particular piece of the lore you think I would be interested in or should check out, then let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.